story of the present, Pandita, the 7-year-old novice. When the mother and father of the merchant's daughter learned that she had conceived a child in her womb, they saw to it that she received the treatment necessary for the protection of the embryo. After a time, the longing of pregnancy came upon her, and she thought to herself, "Oh, that I might take offerings of the choicest portions of red fish to the 500 monks headed by the captain of the faith. Oh, that I might put on yellow robes, sit down in the outer circle of the seats, and partake of the food left uneaten by these monks." She expressed her longing to her mother and father, and fulfilled her longing, whereupon it subsided. Thereafter she held 7 festivals more, and provided the 500 monks, headed by the captain of the faith, with the choicest portion of red fish. All is to be understood precisely as in the story of the youth Kisa. This was the fruit of his offering of the choicest portions of red fish in his former existence as the poor man Mahadugata. Now on the day appointed for the naming of the child, the mother said to the elder, "Reverend sir, confer the moral precepts on your servant." Said the elder, "What is the name of this child?" "Reverend sir, from the day this child came into existence in my womb, those of this household who were stupid and deaf and dumb became wise. Therefore the name of my child shall be Youth Wise Man, Pandita Daraka." The elder then conferred the moral precepts on the child. Now, from the day of his birth, his mother resolved, "I will not interfere with the desire of my son." When he was 7 years old, he said to his mother, "I desire to become a monk under the elder." She replied, "Very well, dear child. Long ago I made up my mind not to interfere with your desire." So she invited the elder to her house, provided him with food, and said to him, "Reverend sir, your servant desires to become a monk. I will bring him to the monastery this evening." Having dismissed the elder, she gathered her kinsfolk together and said to them, "This very day I shall render the honors appropriate to the occasion of my son's leaving the life of a layman." So she prepared rich gifts, and taking the child to the monastery, committed him to the hands of the elders, saying, "Reverend sir, admit this child to the order." The elders spoke to him of the difficulties of the religious life. The boy replied, "I will carry out your admonitions, Reverend sir." "Well then," said the elder, "come." So saying, he wetted his hair, taught him the formula of meditation on the first 5 of the constituent parts of the body, and received him into the order. His mother and father remained at the monastery for 7 days, making offerings consisting wholly of the choicest portions of red fish to the congregation of monks headed by the Buddha. Having so done, they returned home. On the 8th day, the elder took the novice with him to the village. He did not, however, accompany the monks. Why was this? Not yet had the novice acquired a pleasing manner of taking his bowl and robe. Not yet had he acquired a pleasing manner of walking, standing, sitting, and lying. Besides, the elder had duties to perform at the monastery. So when the congregation of monks had entered the village for alms, the elder went the rounds to the entire monastery, swept the places that had not been swept, filled the empty vessels with water for drinking and refreshment, and restored to their proper places the beds, chairs, and other articles of furniture that had been tossed about in disorder. Having so done, he entered the village. It was because he did not wish to give the heretics who might enter the empty monastery a chance to say, "Behold the habitations of the disciples of the hermit Gautama." There is set the entire monastery right before entering the village. Therefore, on that particular day, having instructed the novice how to take his bowl and robe, he entered the village somewhat later than usual. As the novice proceeded with his preceptor, he saw a ditch by the roadside. "What is that, reverend sir?" he asked. "That is called a ditch, novice." "What do they use it for?" "They use it to lead the water this way and that, for irrigating their grain fields." "But, reverend sir, has the water reason or bile?" "It has not, brother." "Reverend sir, can they lead anything like this, which lacks reason, to whatever place they desire?" "Yes, brother." The novice thought to himself, "If they can lead even such a thing as this, which lacks reason, to whatever place they wish, why cannot also they that have reason bring their own reason under control of their own will and strive for the attainment of arahatship?" Proceeding farther, he saw arrow markers heating reeds and sticks over the fire and straightening them by sighting with them out of the corner of their eye. "What are these men, reverend sir?" he asked. "They are arrow makers, brother." "What are they doing?" "They are heating reeds and sticks over the fire and straightening them." "Have these reeds the power of reason?" "Reverend sir, they are without the power of reason, brother." The novice thought to himself, "If they can take these reeds, which are without the power of reason, and straighten them by heating them over the fire, why cannot also creatures who have reason bring their own reason under control and strive for the attainment of arahatship. Proceeding yet further, he saw carpenters fashioning spokes, rims, naves, and other parts of wheels. Reverend Sir, what are these men? He asked. These men are carpenters, brother. What are they doing? Out of pieces of wood they make wheels and other parts of carts and other vehicles, brother. But do these objects possess reason, Reverend Sir? No, brother. They are without the power of reason. Then this thought occurred to the novice. If they can take these senseless logs of wood and make wheels and so forth out of them, why cannot also creatures who have the power of reason bring their own reason under control and strive for the attainment of arahatship? Having seen all these things, the novice said to the elder, Reverend Sir, if you will be so good as to take your own bowl and robe, I should like to turn back. The elder, not allowing himself to think, this young novice, who has but just been received into the order, addresses me as if I were a lesser Buddha, said, Bring them, novice, and took his own bowl and robe. The novice paid obeisance to the elder and turned back, saying, Reverend Sir, when you bring me food, be kind enough to bring me only the choicest portions of red fish. Where shall we get them, brother? Reverend Sir, if you cannot obtain them through your own merit, you will succeed in obtaining them through my merit. The elder thought to himself, should this young novice sleep out of doors, some danger may befall him. Therefore he gave him a key and said to him, Open the door of the cell where I reside. Go in and remain there. The novice did so. Sitting down, he strove to gain a knowledge of his own body and to master the thought of his own personality. Through the power of his virtue, Sakka's seat showed signs of heat. Sakka considered within himself, what can be the cause of this? And came to the following conclusion. The novice Pandita has given his preceptor his bowl and robe and turned back, saying, I will strive for the attainment of arahatship. Therefore, I also ought to go there. So Sakka addressed the four great kings, saying, Drive away the birds that make their homes in the monastery park, and guard the approaches from all quarters. And he said to the moon deity, Hold back the disk of the moon. And to the sun deity, Hold back the disk of the sun. Having so said, he went in person to the place where hung the rope for opening and closing the door, and stood on guard. There was not so much as a sound of a withered leaf in the monastery. The novice's mind was tranquil, and in the course of his meal he mastered the thought of his own personality, obtained the three fruits. The elder thought, the novice is seated in the monastery, and I can obtain food in such and such a house to assist him in his preparation. So he went to the house of a certain supporter, whose love and respect for him he well knew. Now the members of this household had obtained some red fish that very day, and were seated watching for the elder to come. When they saw him coming, they said to him, "Reverend sir, those who came here have done you a good turn." And they invited him in, gave him broth and hard food, and presented him with alms consisting of the choicest portions of red fish. The elder allowed the purpose of his visit to be known, whereupon the members of the household said to him, "Eat your meal, reverend sir, and you shall also receive food to take with you." So when the elder had finished his meal, they filled his bowl with food consisting of the choicest portions of red fish, and gave it to him. The elder, thinking to himself, "The novice must be hungry," hastened back to the monastery with all speed. Very early on the morning of that day, the teacher ate his breakfast and went to the monastery. And he considered within himself, "The novice Pandita has given his preceptor his bowl and robe, and turned back saying, 'I will strive for the attainment of arahatship.' Will he reach the goal of his religious life?" Perceiving that he had attained the three fruits, he considered, "Is he or is he not capable of attaining arahatship?" Perceiving that he was, he considered, "Will he or will he not be able to attain arahatship even before he has finished his breakfast?" And straightway he perceived that he would. Then the following thought occurred to him: "Sariputta is hastening to the monastery with food for the novice, and may perhaps interfere with his meditations. I will therefore sit down in the battlemented chamber on guard. When Sariputta arrives, I will ask him 4 questions. While these questions are being answered, the novice will attain arahatship, together with the supernatural faculties." So he went, took his stand in the battlemented chamber, and when the elder arrived, the teacher asked him 4 questions, each of which the elder answered correctly. These were the questions and answers. The teacher asked Sariputta, "Sariputta, what have you brought?" "Food, reverend sir." "What does food produce, Sariputta?" "Sensation, reverend sir." "What does sensation produce, Sariputta?" "Material form, reverend sir." "What does material form produce, Sariputta?" "Contact, reverend sir." This is the meaning of these questions. When a hungry man eats food, the food banishes his hunger and brings a pleasurable sensation. As a result of the pleasurable sensation which comes to a man who is satisfied by the eating of food, his body takes on a beautiful color. And for this reason, it is said that sensation produces a material form. Now the man who is satisfied by the material form, which is the product of the food he has eaten, that man is filled with joy and delight, and with the thought in his mind, now I have attained happiness. Whether he lies down or sits down, obtains a pleasurable contact. While these four questions were being answered, the novice attained arahatship, together with the supernatural faculties. Then the teacher said to the elder, "Go, Sariputta, give the food to your novice." The elder went and knocked at the door. The novice came out, took the bowl from the elder's hands, set it aside, and began to fan the elder with a palm leaf fan. The elder said to him, "Novice, eat your breakfast." "But you, reverend sir?" "I've eaten my breakfast. You eat yours." Thus did a child 7 years old, already a monk, on the 8th day, like a freshly blossomed water lily, reflecting upon the subjects of self-examination, sit down and eat his breakfast. When he had washed his bowl and put it away, the moon deity released the moon, and the sun deity the sun. The four great kings abandoned their watch over the four quarters. Saka, the king of the gods, gave up his post at the rope of the door, and the sun vanished from mid-heaven and disappeared. The monks were annoyed and said, "Unwanted darkness has come on. The sun has disappeared from mid-heaven, and the novice has only just eaten his breakfast. What does this mean?" The teacher, aware of what they were saying, came and asked them, "Monks, what are you saying?" They told him. He replied, "Yes, monks, while this novice, fruitful in good works, was striving for the attainment of arahatship, the moon deity held back the disk of the moon, and the sun deity the disk of the sun. The four great kings stood on guard over the four quarters in the monastery park. Saka, king of the gods, kept watch over the rope of the door, and I myself, although a Buddha, was unable to remain in an attitude of repose, but went to the battle-lamented chamber and stood guard over my son. Wise men who observe ditch diggers leading the water, arrow makers straightening their arrows, and carpenters fashioning wood, meditate on these things, obtain the mastery over themselves, and attain arahatship. And joining the connection, he instructed them in the Dhamma by pronouncing the following stanza. Ditch diggers lead the water, arrow makers straighten their shafts, carpenters straighten the wood, wise men discipline themselves. Book 6, Story 9, Husband, Son and Wife. In Savatthi, we are told, a certain lay disciple lived the life of a householder righteously and justly. Desiring to become a monk, he said to his wife one day, as he sat chatting with her pleasantly, "Dear wife, I desire to become a monk." She replied, "Husband, wait until I give birth to the child that is in my womb." He waited until the child was old enough to walk and then asked her again. She replied, "Husband, wait until this child comes of age." So he said to himself, "What difference does it make to me whether she gives me her permission or not? I will secure release from suffering for myself." Accordingly, he retired from the world and became a monk. Having obtained a subject of meditation, by striving and struggling, he reached the consummation of his own religious life. Then he returned once more to Savatthi to see his family and preach the Dhamma to his son. Thereupon his son retired from the world, became a monk, and in no long time attained arahatship. His former wife thought to herself, "Both of those for whom I desired to live the household life have become monks. What interest has this life for me any longer? I will become a nun." Accordingly, she went forth and became a nun, and in no long time she also became an arahat. One day the monks began a discussion in the hall of truth. Our brother disciple Dhammika, because he was firmly established in the Dhamma, after he had retired from the world, became a monk and attained arahatship, set an example for his son. The teacher came in and asked, "Monks, what are you sitting here now talking about?" They told him. Said he, "Monks, a wise man should desire success, neither for his own sake nor for the sake of another. A righteous man should seek refuge only in the Dhamma." And joining the connection and instructing them in the Dhamma, he pronounced the following stanza: "Not for his own sake, not for the sake of another, should a man desire son or wealth or kingdom. He should not seek to gain success for himself by unjust means. Then will he be upright, wise, and righteous." Book 7, Story 7, Novice Loses an Eye. The story goes that a certain youth of station, residing at Kosambi, retired from the world and became a monk in the religion of the teacher. After making his full profession, he was known as Elder Kosambivasi Tissa. After he had kept residence during the season of the rains at Kosambi, his supporter brought a set of 3 robes and offerings of ghee and jaggery and laid them at his feet. Said the elder to him, "What are these, lay disciple?" "Reverend sir, have you not kept residence with me during the season of the rains? Those who keep residence in our monastery always receive these offerings. Pray, accept them, reverend sir." "Never mind, lay disciple, I have no need of them." "Why is that, reverend sir?" "I have no novice to perform the usual offering for me, brother. Reverend sir, if it be true that you have no novice to minister to your needs, my son will become your novice. The elder graciously accepted the offer. The lay disciple brought his own son, but 7 years old, to the elder and committed him into the elder's hands, saying, "Pray, receive him into the order, Reverend sir." The elder moistened the boy's hair, taught him the formula of meditation on the first 5 of the constituent parts of the body, and received him into the order. The instant the razor touched his hair, he attained arahatship, together with the supernatural faculties. The elder, having received the youth into the order, remained there for a night. Then, deciding to visit the teacher, he directed the novice to take the requisites and set out on his journey. On the way, he entered a certain monastery. The novice obtained lodging for the elder and looked after it for him. While he was thus engaged, it grew dark, and he was therefore unable to provide a lodging for himself. When the time came for the novice to wait upon the elder, the novice approached the elder and sat down. The elder asked the novice, "Novice, have you not neglected to provide yourself with lodging?" "Reverend sir, I have had no opportunity to look after a lodging for myself." "Well then, remain with me. It will inconvenience you to lodge outside in the place reserved for visitors." So saying, the elder, taking him with him, entered his own lodging. Now, the elder had not yet attained the fruit of conversion, and as soon as he lay down, fell asleep. Thereupon the novice thought to himself, "Today is the 3rd day during which I have occupied the same lodging with my preceptor. If I lie down to sleep, the elder will commit the offense of sleeping in common. Therefore, I will spend the night sitting up." So, assuming a cross-legged posture near the bed of his preceptor, he spent the night sitting up. The elder rose at dawn and said to himself, "I must cause the novice to go out." So he took a fan which was placed at the side of the bed, struck the mat of the novice with the tip of the palm leaf, and then, tossing the fan into the air, said, "Novice, go out." The handle of the fan struck the novice in the eye and straightway put out his eye. "What did you say, Reverend sir?" said the novice. "Rise and go out," was the reply. The novice, instead of saying, "Reverend sir, my eye has been put out," covered his eye with one hand and went out. Moreover, when it was time for him to perform his duties as a novice, he did not say, "My eye has been put out," nor did he remain seated, but covering his eye with one hand and taking a hand broom in the other, he swept out the privy and the washroom, after which, setting out water for washing the face, he swept out the elder's cell. When he advanced to present the toothstick to the elder, he presented it to him with only one hand. His preceptor said to him, "This novice is not properly trained. Is it proper for a novice to present a toothstick to teachers and preceptors with one hand? Reverend sir, I know perfectly well what is the proper form, but one of my hands is not disengaged. What is the matter, novice?" Then the novice told him the whole story, beginning at the beginning. When the elder heard his story, he was deeply moved and said to himself, "Oh, what a grievous thing I have done." Then he said to the novice, "Pardon me, most excellent youth. I did not know this. Be my refuge." And extending his clasped hands in an attitude of reverent salutation, he crouched on the ground before the feet of a 7-year-old novice. Then said the novice to him, "It was not for this purpose, Reverend Sir, that I spoke. I said this for the purpose of sparing your feelings. You are not to blame in this matter, and neither am I. The round of existences alone is to blame for this. It was because I wished to spare you remorse that I did not tell you the real facts." The novice tried to comfort the elder, but he would not be comforted. Overcome with remorse, he took the novice's requisites and proceeded to the teacher. As the teacher sat, he observed him approaching. The elder went to the teacher, saluted him, and exchanged friendly greetings with him. The teacher asked him, "Monk, is everything well with you? I trust that you have suffered no excessive discomfort." The elder replied, "All is well with me, Reverend Sir. I have suffered no excessive discomfort, but there is a young novice whose good qualities surpass anything I have ever seen." "Why, what has he done, monk?" Thereupon the elder told him the whole story, beginning at the beginning and concluding as follows. "Reverend Sir, when I asked him to pardon me, he said this to me: 'You are not to blame in this matter, and neither am I. The round of existences alone is to blame for this. Be not disturbed.' Thus he tried to comfort me, appearing to cherish neither anger nor hatred towards me. His good qualities surpass anything I have ever seen." Said the teacher to the elder, "Monk, those who have rid themselves of the defilements cherish neither anger nor hatred towards anyone. On the contrary, their senses are in a state of calm, and their thoughts are in a state of calm." So saying, he joined the connection and, preaching the Dhamma, pronounced the following stanza: "His thoughts are calm, his speech is calm, his deeds are calm. Such is the calm of one who has attained deliverance by right knowledge." Book 8, Story 2, Bahiya Daruciriya. Once upon a time, a party of men put to sea in a boat. When they were well out to sea, the boat sprang a leak. Thereupon all of the men, with a single exception, became food for fishes and tortoises. Only one man, who seized the plank and struggled with all his might, succeeded in reaching land near Suparaka port. When he came to land, he lacked both under and upper garments. So for lack of anything better, he wrapped himself with dry twigs and sticks and bark, and obtaining a potsherd from the royal household, went to Suparaka port. All who saw him gave him broth, rice porridge, and other kinds of food, and did reverence to him, saying, "This is some Arahat." Thought he, "If I clothe myself in and under and upper garments of fine texture, I shall no longer receive gain and honor." Therefore he avoided such garments, using only the bark of trees to clothe himself withal. As many persons greeted him with the salutation, "Arahat, Arahat," the following consideration presented itself to his mind. Am I perhaps one of those who are Arahats in this world, or who have entered the path leading to Arahatship? Thereupon a certain thought occurred to a deity who was a former blood relative of his. By former blood relative is meant one who formerly practiced meditation with him. It appears that in former times, when the religion of Kassapa, possessed of the 10 powers, was disappearing from the earth, 7 monks, observing with regret a change for the worse in the conduct of probationers, novices, and others, said to themselves, "So long as our religion has not yet disappeared, we will make our own salvation sure." So after reverencing the golden shrine, they entered the forest, and seeing a certain mountain, they said, "Let those who still cherish attachment for the life of this world turn back. Let those who have rid themselves of attachment ascend this mountain." Thereupon they set up a ladder, and all of them ascended the mountain, whereupon they kicked the ladder down and devoted themselves to meditation. After but a single night had passed, one of them, the elder of the assembly, attained arahatship. The elder of the assembly chewed a toothstick of betel at Lake Anotata, rinsed his mouth, brought food from the North Kuru, and said to those monks, "Brethren, chew this toothstick, rinse your mouths, and then eat this food." But this they refused to do, saying, "But, reverend sir, did we make the following agreement? All shall eat the food brought by him who first attains arahatship." "We made no such agreement, brethren." "Well then, if you like, we also develop specific attainment. We will bring food for ourselves and eat it." On the second day, the second elder attained the fruit of the third path, whereupon he likewise brought food to the monks and invited them to eat. But they said, "But, reverend sir, did we agree not to eat the food brought by the chief elder, but to eat that which should be brought by a subordinate elder?" "We did not so agree, brethren." "In that case, if, like you, we also develop specific attainment, we shall be able by your own unaided efforts to provide ourselves with food, and we shall so provide ourselves with food. Thus did they refuse to eat the food he had brought. Of the 7 monks, the elder of the assembly, who had attained arahatship, passed into Nibbana. He who had attained the fruit of the third path was reborn in the Brahma world, and the remaining 5, unable to develop specific attainment, wasted and withered away, died on the 7th day, and were reborn in the world of the gods. In the period of this present Buddha, they passed from that state of existence and were reborn in various households. One of them was King Pokusati, one was Kumara Kasapa, one was Daruciriya, one was Dabba the Malla, and one was the monk Sabbiya. The term former blood relative therefore refers to the monk who was reborn in the Brahma world. To this denizen of the Brahma world then occurred the following thought: this man was associated with me in setting up the ladder, and in the ascent of the mountain, and in the practice of meditation. But now he has adopted false views, and by his present course of conduct he is in danger of perdition. I will stir him up. Accordingly he approached him and spoke thus: Bahiya, you are not an arahat, nor have you entered the path that leads to arahatship. Moreover, the course that you have adopted is not such that you will thereby attain arahatship or enter the path that leads to arahatship. As Mahabrahma, poised in the air, spoke these words, Bahiya looked upon him and thought to himself, oh, what a plight I am in! I thought to myself, I am an arahat, but yonder spirit says to me, you are not an arahat, nor have you entered the path that leads to arahatship. Oh, what a plight I am in! I thought to myself, I am an arahat, but yonder spirit says to me, you are not an arahat, nor have you entered the path that leads to arahatship. Is there perhaps any other arahat in the world? Accordingly, Bahiya asked the spirit, Deity, are there perhaps now in the world arahats, or those who have entered the path leading to arahatship? Then the deity informed him as follows: Bahiya, there lies to the north a city named Savatthi, and there at the present time dwells he that is the exalted one, the arahat of arahats, the supremely enlightened. And he that is the exalted one, the arahat of arahats, preaches the truth of arahatship. As Bahiya listened in the night time to the speech of the deity, he became greatly agitated in mind, and instantly departing from Suparaka in the space of one night, he arrived at Savatthi. The entire distance of 120 leagues he travelled in the space of one night. But when he went thus, he went by the supernatural power of the deity. At the moment when he arrived, the teacher had entered the city for alms. When Bahiya had breakfasted, he observed many monks taking their exercise in the open air by walking up and down, And he asked them, "Where is the teacher now?" Said the monks, "He has just entered Savatthi for alms." Then the monks asked Bahiya, "But whence have you come?" "I have come from Suparaka." "When did you leave Suparaka?" "Yesterday evening." "You have come a long way. Just sit down, bathe your feet, anoint them with oil, and rest yourself a while. When the teacher returns, you will see him." "Reverend sir, I know not when the teacher may die, or when I may die myself. I came here in the space of but a single night, neither stopping nor sitting down anywhere to rest. I have come a journey of 120 leagues. So soon as I have seen the teacher, I will rest myself." When he had thus spoken, his body all of a tremble. He entered Savatthi and beheld the Exalted One making his round for alms with the incomparable grace of a Buddha. Said he to himself, "It is a long time indeed since I have seen Gautama, the supremely enlightened." And from the point where he had first seen him, he proceeded with his body inclined in an attitude of profound reverence. Even as he stood in the street, he paid obeisance to him with the 5 rests, and took him firmly by the ankles, and spoke thus to him, "Let the Exalted One teach me the Dhamma. Let the Happy One teach me the law, that it may avail for a long time to come to my welfare and salvation." But the teacher turned him away, saying, "You come at the wrong time, Bahiya. I have entered among the house for alms." When Bahiya heard these words, he said, "Reverend sir, as I have passed through the round of existences, I have not before received spiritual food. I know not the hour when you or I shall die. Teach me the Dhamma." But the teacher turned him away the second time as before. This, we are told, was a thought that occurred to him. "From the time this man first saw me, his whole body has been suffused with joy. From the great shock of joy he has received, though he should listen to the Dhamma, he would not be able to comprehend it. Let him remain for a time in a state of blessed equanimity. Moreover, by reason of the fact that he has come a journey of 120 leagues in but a single night, his weariness is great. Just let this subside." Therefore did the teacher turn him away twice. When Bahiya put his request the third time, the teacher, remaining where he was in the street, said to him, "Therefore, Bahiya, thus you must learn. In the seen, there can be only what is seen. In the heard, there can be only what is heard. In the thought, there can be only what is thought. In the known, there can be only what is known. For, Bahiya, thus you must learn. Since, Bahiya, for you, in the seen there can be only what is seen. In the heard, what is heard. In the thought, what is thought. In the known, what is known. Therefore, you, Bahiya, are not here. Since you, Bahiya, are not here, therefore you, Bahiya, are neither in this world, nor in the next world, nor betwixt the two. This alone is the end of suffering. Even as Bahiya listened to the teacher's discourse, he threw off all the defilements and obtained arahatship together with the supernatural faculties. Straightway he asked the teacher to admit him into the order. Upon this the teacher asked him, "Have you bowl and robe complete?" "I have not bowl and robe complete," replied Bahiya. Then said the teacher to him, "Well then, seek bowl and robe." So saying, the teacher went his way. We are told that during the period of 20,000 years, during which Bahiya practiced meditation, he never did a single monk the favor of presenting him with bowl and robe, but that he used to say, a monk ought to provide himself with his own requisites without looking to another. He ought through his own unaided efforts to provide himself with food, and that the teacher, knowing this and knowing that for this reason he would not obtain bowl and robe created by psychic power, did not admit him to the order with the usual formula, "Come, monk." As Bahiya was seeking bowl and robe, a certain ogress in the form of a heifer approached, struck him with her left shoulder, and deprived him of life. The teacher, after making his round for alms and after eating his breakfast, came forth with a large company of monks, and saw the body of Bahiya lying prostrate on the dust heap. Straightway he commanded the monks as follows, "Monks, bring a litter which stands at the door of a certain house. Carry the body of this man out of the city, burn it, and erect a mound over the remains." The monks did so, and having so done, returned to the monastery, approached the teacher, told him what they had done, and inquired about the future state of the dead man. Thereupon the teacher announced that he had passed into Nibbana, and assigned him preeminence, saying, "Monks, preeminent among my disciples and monks who are quick to learn the truth is Bahiya Daruciriya." When the monks asked him, "Reverend sir, you say Bahiya Daruciriya has attained arahatship. When did he attain arahatship?" "Monks, it was when he heard me preach the Dhamma. But when did you preach the Dhamma to him?" "While I was making my rounds for alms, standing in the middle of the street." "Was not the discourse delivered standing in the middle of the street an extremely short one, Reverend sir? How was it that he developed specific attainment after hearing so very little?" Then said the teacher to them, "Monks, do not measure my Dhamma being little or much. There is no virtue even in many thousands of stanzas. A single stanza of a stanza which contains the truth is better." And when he had thus spoken, he joined the connection, and preaching the Dhamma, he pronounced the following stanza: "Better than 1,000 verses comprising useless words is one beneficial single line, by hearing which one is specified." Book 8, Story 3, Kundalakesi Theri. A rich merchant of Rajagar, it seems, had only one daughter, who was about 16 years of age, and she was extremely beautiful and fair to see. When women reach this age, they burn and long for men. Her mother, and father lodged her on the topmost floor of a 7-storied palace in an apartment of royal splendor, and gave her only a single slave woman to wait upon her. Now, one day a young man of station was caught in the act of robbery. They bound his hands behind his back and led him to the place of execution, scourging him with lashes at every crossroads. The merchant's daughter heard the shouts of the crowd, said to herself, "What is that?" Looked down from the top of the palace and saw him. Straightway she fell in love with him. So great, in fact, was her longing for him that she took to her bed and refused to eat. Her mother asked her, "What does this mean, my dear daughter? If I can have that young man who was caught in the act of committing robbery and who was led through the streets, life will be worth living. If not, life is not worth living. I shall die here and now. Do not act in this manner, my daughter. You shall have someone else for your husband, someone who is your equal in birth and family and wealth. I will have no one else. If I cannot have this man, I shall die." The mother, unable to pacify her daughter, told the father, but the father likewise was unable to pacify his daughter. "What is to be done?" thought he. He sent 1,000 pieces of money to the king's officer who had captured the robber and who was accompanying him to the place of execution, saying, "Take this money and send the robber to me." "Very well," said the king's officer. He took the money, released the robber, had another man put to death, and sent word to the king, "The robber has been executed, your majesty." The merchant gave his daughter in marriage to the robber. She resolved to win the favor of her husband, and from that time on, adorned with all her adornments, she prepared her husband's meals with her own hand. After a few days, the robber thought to himself, "When can I kill this woman, take her jewels and sell them, and so be able to take my meals in a certain tavern?" This is the way he took to his bed and refused to eat. She came to him and asked, "Are you in pain?" "Not at all, wife." "Then perhaps my mother and father are angry with you." "They are not angry with me, wife." "What is the matter then?" "Wife, that day when I was bound and led through the streets, I saved my life by vowing an offering to the deity that lives on Robber's Cliff. Likewise, it was through his supernatural power that I gained you for my wife. I was wondering how I could fulfill my vow of an offering to the deity." "Husband, do not worry. I will see to the offering. Tell me what is needed." "Rich rice porridge flavored with honey, and the 5 kinds of flowers, including the larger flower." "Very well, husband. I will make ready the offering." Having prepared the whole offering, she said to her husband, "Come, husband, let us go." "Very well, wife. Let your kinsman remain behind. Put on your costly garments and adorn yourself with your precious jewels, and we will go gaily, laughing and disporting ourselves." She did as she was told. When they reached the foot of the mountain, the robber said to her, "Wife, from this point on, let us two go alone. We will send back the rest of the company in a conveyance. You take the vessel containing the offering and carry it yourself." She did as she was told. The robber took her in his arms and climbed the mountain to the top of Robber's Cliff. One side of this mountain men can climb, but the other side is a precipitous cliff, from the top of which robbers are flung, being dashed to pieces before they reach the bottom. Therefore it is called Robber's Cliff. Standing on the top of the mountain, she said, "Husband, present the offering." Her husband made no reply. Again she spoke, "Husband, why do you remain silent?" Then he said to her, "I have no use for the offering. I deceived you in bringing you here with an offering. Then why did you bring me here, husband? To kill you, seize your jewels and escape." Terrified with the fear of death, she said to him, "Husband, both my jewels and my person belong to you. Why do you speak thus?" Over and over again she pleaded with him, "Do not do this." But his only reply was, "I will kill you. After all, what will you gain by killing me? Take these jewels and spare my life. Henceforth, regard me as your mother, or else let me be your slave woman and work for you." So saying, she recited the following stanza: "Take these golden bracelets, all set with beryls. Take all and welcome. Call me your slave woman." The robber, hearing this, said to her, "Despite what you say, were I to spare your life, you would go and tell your mother and father all. I will kill you. That is all. Lament not with vehement lamentation." So saying, he recited the following stanza: "Lament not overmuch. Tie up your possessions quickly. You have not long to live. I shall take all your possessions." She thought to herself, "Oh, what a wicked deed is this! However, wisdom was not made to be cooked and eaten, but rather to make men look before they leave. I shall find a way of dealing with him." And said to him, "Husband, when they caught you in the act of committing robbery and led you through the streets, I told my mother and father, and they spent 1,000 pieces of money in ransoming you, and they gave you a place in their house. And from that time on, I have been your benefactress. Today, do me the favor of letting me pay obeisance to you." "Very well, wife," said he, granted her the favor of paying obeisance to him, and then took his hand near the edge of the cliff. She walked around him 3 times, keeping him on her right hand, and paid obeisance to him in the 4 places. Then she said to him, "Husband, this is the last time I shall see you. Henceforth you will see me no more, neither shall I see you any more." And she embraced him both before and behind. Then, remaining before him, as he stood off his guard near the edge of the cliff, she put one hand to his shoulder and the other to the small of his back, and flung him over the cliff. Thus was the robber hurled into the abyss of the mountain and dashed to pieces when he reached the bottom. The deity that dwelt on the top of Robber's Cliff observed the actions of the two, and applauding the woman, uttered the following stanza. Wisdom is not always confined to men. A woman too is wise, and shows it now and then. Having thrown the robber over the cliff, the woman thought to herself, if I go home, they will ask me, where is your husband? And if in answer to their question I say, I have killed him, they will pierce me with the knives of their tongues, saying, we ransomed the scoundrel with 1,000 pieces of money, and now you have killed him. If on the other hand I say, he sought to kill me for my jewels, they will not believe me. I am done with home. She cast off her jewels, went into the forest, and after wandering about for a time, came to a certain hermitage of nuns. She reverently bowed and said, Sister, receive me into your order as a nun. So they received her as a nun. After she had become a nun, she asked, Sister, what is the goal of your religious life? Sister, the development of spiritual ecstasy through the employment of the 10 kasinas, or else the memorizing of 1,000 articles of faith. This is the highest aim of our religious life. Spiritual ecstasy I shall not be able to develop, Reverend Sister, but I will master the 1,000 articles of faith. When she had mastered the 1,000 articles of faith, they said to her, you have acquired proficiency. Now go throughout the length and breadth of the land of the rose apple and look for someone able to match question and answer with you. So placing a branch of rose apple in her hands, they dismissed her with these words, go forth, sister. If anyone who is a layman is able to match question and answer with you, become his slave. If any monk, enter his order as a nun. Adopting the name Nun of the Rose Apple, she left the hermitage and went about from place to place asking questions of everyone she saw. No one was able to match question and answer with her. In fact, such a reputation did she acquire that whenever men heard the announcement, here comes the Nun of the Rose Apple, they would run away. Before entering a town or village for alms, she would scrape a pile of sand together before the village gate and there plant her rose apple branch. Then she would issue her challenge, let him that is able to match question and answer with me trample this rose apple branch under his feet. So saying, she would enter the village. No one dared to pass beyond the spot. When one branch withered, she would procure a fresh one. Travelling about in this way, she arrived at Savatthi, planted the branch before the city gate, issued her challenge in the usual way, and went in to seek alms. A number of young boys gathered about the branch and waited to see what would happen. Just then the elder Sariputta, who had made his round and eaten his breakfast, and was on his way out of the city, saw those boys standing about the branch and asked them, what does this mean? The boys explained matters to the elder. Said the elder, go ahead, boys, trample that branch under your feet. We are afraid too, Reverend Sir. I will answer the question. You go ahead, trample the branch under your feet. The elder's words supplied the boys with the necessary courage. Forthwith they trampled the branch under their feet, shouting and kicking up the dust. When the nun returned, she rebuked them and said, I don't intend to bandy question and answer with you. How did you come to trample the branch under your feet? Our noble elder told us to. Reverend Sir, did you tell them to trample my branch under their feet? Yes, sister. Well then, match question and answer with me. Very well, I will do so. As the shades of evening drew on, she went to the elder's residence to put her questions. The entire city was stirred up. The people said to each other, "Let us go and hear the talk of the two learned persons." Accompanying the nun from the city to the elder's residence, they bowed to the elder and seated themselves respectfully to one side. The nun said to the elder, "Reverend sir, I wish to ask you a question." "Ask it, sister." So she asked him the 1,000 articles of faith. Every question the nun asked, the elder answered correctly. Then he said to her, "You have asked only these few questions. Are there any others?" "These are all, Reverend Sir." "You have asked many questions. I will ask you just one. Will you answer me?" "Ask your question, Reverend Sir." Then the elder asked her the following question: "What is one?" She said to herself, "This is a question I should be able to answer." But not knowing the answer, she inquired of the elder, "What is it, Reverend Sir?" "This is the Buddha's question, sister. Tell me the answer." "Reverend Sir, if you will enter our order, I will tell you the answer." "Very well, admit me to the order." The elder sent word to the nuns and had her admitted. After being admitted to the order, she made her full profession, took the name Kundalakesi, and after a few days became an arahat, endowed with the supernatural faculties. In the Hall of Truth, the monks began a discussion of the incident. Kundalakesi heard little of the Dhamma, and yet she succeeded in being admitted to the order. Moreover, she came here after fighting a fierce battle with a robber and defeating him. The teacher came in and asked them, "Monks, what is it that you are sitting here discussing now?" They told him, "Monks, measure not the Dhamma I have taught as being little or much. There is no superior merit in 100 sentences that are meaningless, but one sentence of the Dhamma is better. He that defeats all other robbers wins no victory at all, but he who defeats the robbers that are his own defilements, his is victory indeed." Then he joined the connection and, preaching the Dhamma, pronounced the following stanzas: "Though one should recite 100 stanzas composed of meaningless sentences, yet one sentence of the Dhamma were better, which if a man hear, he is at peace. Though one should conquer 1,000 times 1,000 men in battle, yet would he be the mightiest conqueror who should conquer one himself."